Okay guys, here's just a little something. It's an add-on to the video that I put out on Saturday night, early Sunday morning, which is still Sunday. I just wanted to show you a couple extra things, and like I said, I'm trying to get this kind of ready to do a little series on transmitters. I think it'd be a lot of fun. I by no means I'm not an expert. I'm just, I just want to share a little bit that I've had working with them, and then you guys can share along with us, and together we could have some fun. So, okay, the stuff it's kind of like part two of having fun with transmitters. Okay, thanks. Okay, I know it's a little rough, but we're outside right now, so that's a good sign, huh? Okay, this is this is it inside now. What I took before just a little while ago was I was outside in the backyard, and I made a couple adjustments. First of all, I took off the old radio air cap, because sometimes those are hard to find. But I put on a little cap here, a little air cap that you can order on, off of eBay. You can get them pretty darn cheap. And so, like I said, I'm going to make adjustments to I'll make adjustments to this here. So, I mean, you could use this as a go-to and do what I did and try to spin off it, but I think what I'm going to do is, I don't think I'm going to get hit on that, but I'm going to, why take a chance? I'll put down the way I've got it so far, in case you want to try this. And remember, these breadboards are so cool. They really make a difference, and there's all different kinds. I got one up here, and let me get it. Like this one here. My goodness, I've had this one. I can't remember. I've taken it apart and cleaned it. It's got rust on it. I've had it for quite a few years, and it still works fine. But you got to go in. You got to clean these every now and then because they get dirty and the contacts get bad. But I mean, if you want to experiment, they're the best thing to use. And then, and you can get all kinds of jumper wires for them and all sorts of things. So, all right, I might add on to this, I might not. Okie dokie, I'm back. I gotta turn this off here, because I will get a hit for that. Okay, but this is the, I talked about these earlier. This is another one of my FMs, and I got the layout for this from Desario3, and you can look him up. He's got all kinds of transmitters. He does really great channel. I'm only running this on 4.5. Normally I've got it, I normally put a 9-volt battery in it. I mean, there's the, I'm running on 4 foot, 2 eyes of blue. Oh my brain, what's became of you? Okay, no, I 4.5 volts, and so I know I can kick this up to 9, and maybe we'll go out and, well, I'll do that later. Believe me. This one and this one right here, same, pretty much basic same circuits. And this is what I was talking about, where I've got the board, okay? It's the all copper board. And then, normally when you get a board, it's, it's a bigger size. Well, you can cut it down, and then you cut these little slices off of it, and you make them like pads, okay? And you glue them on your main board. Now the bottom and the glue insulates it, so it's its own separate pad, and then basically the whole rest of the bottom pad is your ground. So it works out. It works out really, really good. And you don't have to do a circuit board. You don't have to etch and all that stuff. You just lay it out on this. Now on this one, if you notice, I only have a coil. So it's a single transistor, and it works really well. And this one, along with this one, which by the way I'm using, this is one of my 2N 2222s, and these are the ones that when I hooked them up, gave them full boost, and had them somewhere where they weren't blocked. I drove for blocks and blocks away, and we were picking them up on the car radio. So, like I said, that's when I got I actually got a little nervous, turned around and got it back and got it shut off. Because now this one here is broadcasting at right around 90. And this one here was broadcasting, I was getting the best at 108. So, there you go. There's the wide deal. Now, cool thing about this one is after you get it dialed in, you can use your tuning capacitor, and, it helps you change. So you can use the tuning capacitor along with the coil. You see that coil there? When you take those coils, by opening them and pushing them together, you change the frequency, so you change the tuning. And that's the only tuning that I have on this one and on this one. And like I said, and they both work great. I'll try to find, like I said, I got that from Desario 3. And I'm sure I tweaked it a little bit. And that's one of the things you guys got to remember. Usually, somebody gives you a schematic for these or a layout, and unless they give you the board, it's been tested, that that it works and it's solid, you're going to have to tweak, and you're going to have to do a little bit of work. Now, I know for a fact that if I take this here and I convert it to one of these boards, I'm not going to, first of all, I probably won't be on 108. I'll probably be on it, if I am even on, and I might have to mess a little bit here and mess a little bit there. Now on the original schematic on this one, if you notice, this gator clip and this gator clip are the ones that I have coming back to my tuning capacitor. Now in the original plans, it didn't use a tuning capacitor, and so I'm actually in parallel. If you follow the circuit, you go from this side of the coil through this resistor, and here's the other side. So, with the resistors in line 2, I'm still actually in parallel with the coil. So I've added variable captance in my tank circuit, and the cool thing is, that's one of the things that you can do too. If you're not getting, or you can't get the range you want to get, you can always add 2. Now you can go a step further. Let's say you don't want to have this. You want to have something that's little small, like some of these people put them right on batteries and use them like a bug, and that I don't recommend that. But anyway. If, let's say, you didn't want this hanging out and it's a little bit too much for what you want, you find the best channel, the best thing you need, and you don't do it on this. You wait until you get it in your circuit board, Then you hook it up and you mess around until you get the right frequency, the one that you want for, that there. And remember, you still have your adjustment in your coil. And then once you get that dialed in, you take a measurement of your tuning capacitor. And, and you could even use a trimmer. You don't even have to go this far. You can use a little small trimmer and you find out what capacity you need to get it in the area you want. Then you solder it onto your board and then you can fine tune it finally with the coil. So, there's a lot of ways to do this. And remember, FM, they are the easiest ones to build. You can get them to oscillate quick. You're not frustrated for a day trying to get them to work usually. Where the AM ones, and we're going to have to discuss that later because you got to remember that what we're dealing with. Why does FM work and why does AM work? Well, FM works because being such a smaller wave, things are so much shorter that you can have like your bandwidth. You can do things within your bandwidth. That's how come in FM radio, you've got a central frequency, and then everything that you pick up is either on the one side of the frequency or the other side of the center line. And that's what you're actually picking, and that's what is actually modulating. That's how FM can work. When you think about an AM wave that, goes for one wave is like 100 feet long, well, you don't have the room in there to play with the broad, with the bandwidth and all that. So you have to use your amplitude modulation. You can't do it with frequency because the frequency's too long because the wave's too long. So, that's your big difference right there. A lot of people forget about that. It's like, how can FM work? Well, because it's a lot smaller. And you're dealing with areas that you can actually work with the frequency where in AM you can't. So, right, this is a quick follow-up. And I'll bring some more, and like I said, I'm trying to put all this together to where, things make more sense. We can actually start looking at like maybe some schematics and kind of following through. And maybe down the road we can even have a live session, get a couple guys come in and we can all discuss it. That, so far the live thing's been kind of, hasn't really got going yet, but I think it'd be something that we could do. But anyway, okay, I'm gonna put this one to rest, and I'll add more as we go along. Okay, everybody, talk to you later. Bye bye.